Imagine biting into a classic fold-in-half New York pizza slice, only to find out it was actually baked in New Orleans and shipped up in a refrigerated truck. That is the reality for the iconic Maryland blue crab. You sit down at a newspaper-lined table in Baltimore for a hyper-local feast, ready to crack into a Chesapeake staple. But there is a logistical blind spot on that table. The crab you are about to eat was likely pulled from the Gulf of Mexico. The local seafood experience often relies on a cross-country supply chain that stays hidden in plain sight. This wasn't always the case. In the mid-20th century, the Chesapeake Bay dominated the industry. Maryland and Virginia combined to harvest more than 75% of the national supply. Today, the market has shifted. Louisiana has become the primary source of volume, supplying roughly a third of the total U.S. blue crab harvest. To keep East Coast markets stocked, daily refrigerated trucks run live crabs straight from the Gulf, seamlessly blending into the local supply. With a wild product crossing through half a dozen states before it reaches the table, wholesale buyers are forced to navigate a market that lacks any central oversight. At the wholesale level, this interstate supply chain is difficult to manage. A buyer can't simply order a large crab and expect a consistent result. Most agricultural products are highly standardized. The USDA, for instance, applies the same grading criteria to beef in every state. Blue crabs are different. Because they are a volatile, wild-caught product, they are managed by a patchwork of state-level regulations, rather than falling under a single national authority. Instead of a unified market, the industry operates as a collection of independent state fiefdoms, each with its own set of rules. This lack of standardization leads to grading labels that are often contradictory from one state to the next. Look at a Louisiana No. 2 crab. By their standards, it must measure between 5.5 and 6.25 inches across. But in Maryland, a premium No. 1 also starts at 5.5 inches. This means two different grade names can represent an identical physical size. Because of these overlapping labels, a buyer who orders by grade name without verifying the state of origin will likely receive a shipment they didn't expect. This state-by-state independence continues all the way to the dinner plate, dictating how the crab is prepared. In the Chesapeake, purists insist on steaming live crabs over beer and vinegar, heavily coated in Old Bay seasoning. Steaming is a specific mechanical choice. It keeps the meat elevated above the liquid, which preserves its sweet texture rather than washing it out. In the Gulf Coast, the method is different. Locals boil their crabs in a dark Cajun broth packed with cayenne, garlic, potatoes, and sausage. Boiling relies on the porous nature of the shell. The crab acts like a sponge, pulling those heavy spices directly through the shell and into the meat. These are two different culinary philosophies built around an identical biological animal. The American blue crab is a biological canvas for regional identity, even if the crab on your plate had to drive across half the country to get there.